Hi, I would like to give you a brief rundown of some stuff I'm experimenting with that involves the jMolecules library and the Spring CLI. I have the Spring CLI started in VS Code here and a standard like Java Spring Boot project web application. Nothing fancy. So what I've been working on is some integration of the jMolecules integrations with the CLI so that we can actually go ahead and do command add and add the integration that is coming. And that will actually install the support into the CLI and actually copy the commands into your very own project so that you can like later customize them if you want. So what you can do then is basically run jMolecules init, and it will ask you for certain details. Let's say what kind of architecture you want to implement, whether you want to use code generation, which is what we're going to do. And we want to, of course, work with the DDD stuff, right? And what that does is it specs your projects and then generates the right set of artifacts and dependencies right within your POM. And because it's been the project's been JPA based in the first place, it also adds the necessary JPA runtime integration that will eventually be folded into your types using the ByteBuddy plugin. So no more wrestling with the different dependencies and which dependencies do I need. You just select what you want, and then everything is set up accordingly with like the appropriate scopes and what have you. The next thing you can do, or what we can basically try, is just maven clean build test. That should work. There's nothing in there yet, it just like starts the application, right? So the next thing we can do is add an aggregate. Adding an aggregate usually involves a bit of boilerplate code that is needed. You need the aggregate type, an identifier type, a repository, plus the actual integration tests for the overall arrangement. So what you can do here is basically just define the module you want to create the aggregate in, which we just name foo, and we name it sample, and that goes ahead and just creates exactly those files that we've just just described. So here's the sample aggregate that implements the jMolecules aggregate root type that's using a sample identifier based on an UUID and a record. The sample repository in turn is a jMolecules repository, and we have the corresponding integration tests, right? So you still see an error here, but bear with this for a second. We actually run the test again. Oh wait, we can just do this here, right? So that should work. And you see this actually working, and you should see some code being, some JPA output being run here. So we can actually go ahead and go to the sample here and declare a save method now. So we're kind of actually dealing with our domain code, right? We want to be able to save samples, and then we can go ahead and say repository dot save new sample, and just like trigger that persistence operation, and then run the tests again, and we should see that there's actually an instance created within the database, right? You see drop table, yada yada yada. Where is it? Create table, insert into sample. Here it is, right? So this thing here, the interesting bit is that this thing here is a fully JPA mapped aggregate. You see no JPA annotations or what have you. All of this is generated by the jMolecules integration, right? So we added the ByteBuddy plugin in the very first step of the exercise, and that now finds the jMolecules abstractions on the types and generates the necessary JPA metadata for the identifier for the aggregate and for the repository. So that jMolecules repository is becoming a Spring Data repository. So yeah, that's basically it. You can just create aggregates and all you need around them using a single command line, right? Thank you.